Then I would like to introduce our instructional coach for IDEA that is going to be sharing her passion and dedication and resources with us today. And that's Julie. Hi, Julie. Can you introduce yourself as well, please? Oh, Julie, you're on mute.
Hi, Julie Ryan here. I'm the Instructional Technology Specialist at Jack Hilly Middle School in Oak Forest. As you can see, I couldn't resist the great outdoors either, so I'm in the dark. I've got the window open. My Wi-Fi doesn't go that far. I've just been working through, I know a lot about Apple, I know some Google, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Awesome. Julie, I have to ask, with the water in the background, are you home?
We're at our cottage in Michigan.
All right. In Michigan. Okay. All right.
I wish this were my home.
I bet. Yeah, that is
my summer home.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us today. Greatly appreciate it. And let's just start off a little bit, Julie, by sharing with everyone kind of what your current setup is in your district in regards to the remote learning, kind of what does maybe just in general, how is your week set up? What are the expectations, in a week, and then kind of maybe what your typical day looks like?
Okay, so for teachers and students, we're using Google Classroom at the middle school level to push out assignments and do those things. Teachers are having Zoom sessions 1 to 2 times a week with their students just to make that connection. They are not teaching on those Zoom sessions. They're answering questions and clarifying things, but no direct instruction is taking place. We also have installed this last week. We did virtual student of the week. So we've got some kiddos that are out there every day doing their work, checking in, doing what it takes to survive. And so we're honoring those kids, and it was awesome last week. We invited them and their parents to the Zoom session, and they checked in, and the teacher spoke to why the student deserved the award. It was really, really nice. And then we got a local pizza parlor to donate pizzas. And so we could only do 4 pizzas per class. So we spun a wheel and we awarded the pizzas to the lucky winners. So we're going to be doing that every week. I think we had all of a sudden I saw a lot of kids turning things in this week. So it might have helped. But as far as the lower grades, they're depending on Seesaw and Google Classroom, and they do not have devices at the lower grades. So they're depending on families to have devices. If they don't have devices, then they are printing up stuff for parents and they can pick them up. So, but I think it's going okay. We're trying to find our way.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Isn't I think that's the theme of the spring, finding our way together. So I love the virtual student of the week idea. That's fabulous. And what a creative way to get students motivated. Clearly it had the impact that it was looking for. So can you tell us just a little bit more about that? What is kind of, how are you determining who the student of the week is? And then when did you do the kind of the get together for the parents and students?
So last Friday was our first day. So we're going to do it on Friday at the end of the week. Teachers nominate students. So traditionally when we were in school, we had student of the month, and teachers nominated students who were showing growth, who were showing all different kinds of characteristics that lead for success. And it's not necessarily your super smart kids getting all the awards. It's kids who just come to school and do what it takes. So we're banking on kids who are turning in their work, who are checking in with teachers. They have a little bit of spirit days that some teachers are throwing out there. These kids are participating. They're really engaged. And one of the teachers said it best, the kids who are being successful at this are really going to be successful later on in life because a lot of colleges are moving to online instructions. Businesses are moving to those kinds of interactions. So going forward, these kids are developing the skills they need to survive in the workplace. So we're like kind of talking that end of it up. But so the teachers nominate. We have a 6th grade session, a 7th grade session, and an 8th grade session. And that way it's not this big overwhelming session. Last year, I think there were like 10 kids at each grade level. I think the upper grades had a little bit more, but it was awesome. I was like so touched when the parents were like listening.
That's incredible. So what time was the session on Friday?
So we had one at 9, one at 9:30, and one at 10.
Okay, great.
So, I mean, most parents, unless they're essential workers. So we had one little girl, she logged in by herself. She said her folks were working. So, I mean, that was okay. She still got the award. Actually, she won one of the pizzas, so it was fun.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit more then. We're looking at doing some fun, engaging things next week for Teacher Appreciation Week. Announcement coming very soon. So tell us how you did the pizza. You just like purchased a gift certificate to a local pizza place?
Name chooser, and it was and it's real fun. So it spins. So when the assistant principal, when he tapped it, it spun, and he had all the names in the wheel. And it's fun, and then it stopped, and then it like showed that person's name, and it had confetti, and it would eliminate their name. I can get you the link to that.
It sounds like Flippity. Does that sound familiar at all? I don't know.
When you guys start talking, I will look it up because I have it on the slide deck that he sent out. So I will look for that in a second. But
That's
it was
awesome.
super cool. It was super fun. And I don't know, I think the kids were really proud of the things that the teachers were saying, and some of the parents were, and we thank the parents as well. So, I mean, some of these kids wouldn't be as successful as they are if they didn't have their parents working with them.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I love that idea, and I'm sure there's other places that are doing something similar to this, but this is the first time we've had someone share about having the virtual student of the week. So thank you. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's incredible. So you also mentioned, Julie, about using Google Classroom, but that so your students that are 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, your upper grades, what devices do they have at home?
They have iPads at home. And so we've had a couple of breaks already, surprise. But we did have some loaners left in the building, so they were able to exchange some of those with the kids. I do a lot of tech support for kids. They got amnesia when they left the building.
Right. They're put
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, I'm at home. I need to learn to correlate the skills that I have in the school classroom to what I do at home.
Yeah, so it was quite funny, some of them. And I'd call them up and I'd say, okay, I'd talk to their mom and I'd say, okay, let's talk about this. And they'd put me on speakerphone. And the kid would go, oh, yeah, I remember this. I've done a lot of cheat sheets for kids, too. So
do you have specific office hours then, Julie, that you're utilizing? Or how do the students and families know how to get hold of you?
They email me, and I will get back to them. So for the phone calls, I have a phone masking number because you really don't want your phone to be given out to middle school students. They might take advantage, but so I call them, and if they don't have time or they don't answer, I'll say, email me a time that's convenient for you. So I've set up appointments. Some kids, I set up Zoom sessions and I mirror my screen through Zoom. So that's been a real boon. It's just mirroring my iPad through AirPlay and just showing them exactly what to do. Nice. And then they do it on their iPad. So it's helping them do it that way. Yeah, the mirroring the iPad, that is slick. Someone else showed me how to do that, and I didn't have it turned on. Like in my settings, I had turned off that whiteboard thing because I didn't want the kids started drawing all over my face, giving me mustaches and stuff. So I laughed at it and just erased it myself. But I I turned off that feature, but then it went away where you could mirror to your iPad or your iOS device. So I turned that back on, and just being able to mirror to my students, showing them my screen. You can also share your desktop in that feature too. And then there's a really cool whiteboard feature, but I'm not good at drawing with my mouse.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I tried that once and it didn't fly. So I know my limitations. Some people
Right.
are good with that.
So you're mirroring off of your iPad.
So I'll connect to Zoom on my laptop, and then you click share at the bottom, and it allows you to share. It gives you a bunch of different choices. You can share a whiteboard. You can share your screen through your iOS device, through AirPlay. You can share your desktop, or you can just share a specific window on your desktop. So you don't have to show the mess that exists on your desktop.
Uh-huh. Wow, I did not realize that all of those sharing capabilities were available. So that's phenomenal.
Yeah, I love sharing the iPad. I mean, even you could share your iPhone too. So if you want to show them just a website, you could share your phone. And I'm not sure, hold on, let me see what the choices are, and I'll tell you. You can share whiteboard, iPhone, iPad. You can share iPad, iPhone via cable. I'm not sure how that would work. And then you can share your desktop, or you can share like specific windows. So like I have Chrome open right now, so I could share Chrome.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's awesome. So Heather said she's made some screencasts with that also.
Yeah, I put together a little cheat sheet for our teachers on how to screencast using Zoom. So that's they want teachers introducing small bites of lessons. So that's come out the last week. And so there's on the Mac system, there's 3 ways that are innate to doing it. You can use QuickTime on the Mac laptop. So QuickTime lets you do a screencast. You can actually set it up so your picture's in there. I have all of those cheat sheets. If anyone wants one, just email me, feel free. The other one is Zoom. You can record a session. So they've told us they don't want us recording sessions with students in them because of HIPAA privacy and all kinds of stuff. Because then it becomes part of the public domain, or I don't know what it becomes. But, so I stopped doing that. So you can record yourself and mirror your device and have yourself in the corner talking. So that's the easiest way to do a screen record, I think.
That's interesting. Yeah, right. I mean, again, it seems very, you should think about, oh, I have a Zoom account. I could just, I could have a meeting for myself and record, but yeah, that never has dawned on me before. So that's a great point.
And the other thing is on the iPads, you can do a screen, what's it called? It's called the name. It's called screen record. So you can screen record your iPad and it picks up your voice as you're talking. And I've done a lot of those to show kids, especially because they have iPads at home. So when I want to show them something and they're not getting it, or they can't hook into a Zoom, like some kids, Zoom wasn't working. So I had to make a screencast and send that to them so they could get the Zoom open.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Because our district has pushed out the app, but they blocked zoom.us. So they have to be invited to a session. They can't start sessions on their own because I think, yeah, when we first started, I think they were all hanging loose, starting their own sessions and doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, sure. Hey, I want to see my friends. Let's connect via Zoom.
Right. You know, it's easy.
Absolutely.
I'm doing it. I'm connecting to my family via Zoom. I mean, we have a standing happy hour every Friday, and my family all over the country. So this has been a blessing. I don't know if we've got families from California to Florida, and this has been a blessing because it forced us to we were doing the happy hours to help my mom stay connected, and now everyone's like, you didn't send the invite yet. Like, and what's nice about the school accounts, you can go as long as you want.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah, we did a family one last week. It was a little bit of a fiasco getting everybody on for the first time. But yeah, it put us back into a teacher mode and teaching the adults, my parents and sisters, how to join. So it was quite humorous. One of the things that you mentioned, Julie, was the phone masking. And so I just put a link into the chat window for our partner Rival 5, who is currently providing that service. Is that, yeah, I figured, because we sent something out.
It's free through June.
I'm sorry?
It's free through June.
Yes. So
our
Rival,
yeah.
no,
So
go
they
ahead,
signed
because, yeah, awesome. So if you want to, for those of you that are attending, the link is in the chat window. FYI, it appears that Zoom has had some issues with people putting links in that weren't always appropriate. So they no longer hyperlink in the chat window. So you actually have to physically copy and paste the links in the chat window. So I apologize that it doesn't auto hyperlink, but that's out of our control. But if you take a look at the Rival 5 link that I put in there, it is the link to what Rival 5 is offering for free through June right now for that phone masking task that Julie mentioned. So Julie, can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I've heard some phenomenal things.
It's awesome. And you know, when you use phone masking or you block caller ID or whatever you do, it shows up as blocked. I ding those when those calls come to my phone.
Right.
But it says your school district. So it says Forest Ridge School District. I'm not sure. I know it says public schools or public school district. I'm not sure if it says specifically your school district, but really it's easy. They give you a phone number to call. So you call that number, and then they give you a specific ID towards your school ID. And then there's 2 other numbers you plug in. Then you plug in the family phone number and you hit the hashtag, and then it goes right to the phone number. So I've gotten pretty good at it. So it's easy to use. And I'm not hesitant to call families anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah. We were so excited when they came out with this, and we tried to get the word out as much as possible, especially to, you know, instructional coaches, technology coaches, and special education teachers, you know, who are making a lot of phone calls home to families, you know, and maintaining that close communication with students. So yeah, so for anybody that's on right now, feel free to reach out to Rival 5 and they will get you set up with that as well. So at this point, we're about 20 minutes in. We've talked about quite a bit already. So I just want to take a little moment to see if there's anyone on that has questions about what we've talked about so far, and or just some specific questions in general that Julie might be able to answer or give suggestions or resources on. Feel free to come off mute if you're joining us and you have a question, or you can also always put it in the chat window as well. So any questions right now? All right. So Julie, one of the other things, just kind of staying in on the same page here, I guess, with that communication piece, because I feel like that's something that people are very focused on right now. The most recent letter that came out from the ISB State Superintendent, Dr. Ayala, also, she's constantly mentioning now is the time. You know, every district should be in contact with all students in some way, shape, or form. You know, obviously not daily, but you know, at least each week. So what are some of the ways that your teachers and or your administrators are communicating and staying in touch with the students?
We have a spreadsheet that the Google Sheet, different tabs, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, they each have their own tab. and teachers mark down that I have not communicated with them. So they're marking down there's been zero communication. And what they're seeing is some kids are communicating in some classes, some kids aren't. So they're not worried about, as long as there's some form of communication. And then they've made a list of teachers who call. So teachers call home. And then if that gets response, then the administrators step in and they start calling too as well. So, and I think that they talk about home visits, but really you can't. So, but they are looking towards connecting with our students in some shape or form, and we're trying to keep track of who we haven't heard from at all.
Can I jump in for a quick second about home visits?
Yes, Mia, please.
So what my district is doing is they're doing virtual home visits where they're setting up a time to have a video call after school hours with the parents and the students. So that's how we're doing our version of home visits because it's post school hours. It's not during our assigned school hours.
And the administrators are doing those?
No, actually that's teachers. Teachers are doing that. And they're, yeah, because they're doing it outside of school hours, they're considering it home visits.
Okay. We're still, I mean, we call all the time. I've been calling after 5 and doing like that, those kinds of calls. We have parents who aren't picking up, period. Like no matter when you call, when you email, we have kids who aren't connected. We found out one family, they were homeless. So as we delved into some things, it turns out that family had lost their lease and they were now living out of their car. So that was one of the reasons we weren't hearing from them. So we've set them up with other resources. But yeah, sometimes they don't want to touch base at all. And you got to respect that sometimes. They did say, one parent said, well, this isn't going to count towards anything. I can see that. And I know how stressful, it is so stressful on families. Not all teachers are sending out the same types of work. Some of it is busy work and it's like they're in a full day of school, like sending out your entire lesson plans and expecting the parents to follow your lesson plans. Well, I kind of have a problem with that because parents aren't trained like we are to read lesson plans and to read into it. This should be a time when we're just making connections and helping them ignite their passion for learning. Creativity, create things, do things fun, like family-based activities. Try and like connect that way. I just don't think this is the time for worksheets and busy work. Not especially since the weather's getting nice and you want to get your kids out. You want to do things like, I can't imagine having kept my boys when they were in the early grades, trying to keep them pinned to a table for 6 hours.
Absolutely.
They needed that run around, jump around, do whatever time. I mean, I had them involved in everything where they could run after school. I picked them up from school and they ran till 6 o'clock every day, doing one activity or the other where they were just physically active. So you've got to think about those kids. And I don't know, I still think we should be igniting their passion for learning somehow, not giving them busy work. So
I agree, Julie. No, mine too. You probably just put me on my soapbox because I completely wholeheartedly agree. And we've had people share stories about how, you know, kids have been able to take a passion that they have and learn so much from it, you know, that they wouldn't have had that opportunity before. And I think that during this time, that's so very important. Like you said, you know, I have a son who's a freshman in high school and he loves birds. And so, you know, we live around a lot of trees, so we have a lot of birds. And I had some hummingbird feeders that I hadn't gotten out yet. So we did math in the kitchen by figuring out the ratio of, you know, sugar to water and put together the hummingbird feeders and, you know, where's the right location that we should put them, you know, and have this whole conversation. And it became like this research project, you know, and it was fun to watch him engage with that and see a little bit of spark, like you mentioned, and passion in what we were doing. And I'm like, oh, who is this kid? Like, I'm tricking him into learning, and he doesn't even know it, you know?
My uncle's a bird watcher, and he travels the world looking for birds. Like, he's been all over the world with his passion. I mean, he's got a real job in the world, but his passion is birds. And I mean, they've been to Machu Picchu, and they've been on safaris in Africa, and they've traveled the world with the idea that they're going to find some birds. My aunt she gets her trips every other trip, but yeah, they travel the world looking for birds. So that's a passion to ignite in him. That's exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. We also went, I don't know how many people are on here from outside the Chicagoland area, but yesterday our activity together was mushroom hunting. So yes, that is a real thing if you weren't aware, and we were successful, and we did find some mushrooms that we ate last night for dinner.
So how do you know, like, do you have like guides as to what mushrooms are?
So around here, there's basically two kinds that are quite popular that are edible. They're gray mushrooms and brown mushrooms. So after growing up around here, I know which ones they are. They actually, though, I should try to show you a picture, but they actually don't look like the typical mushrooms that you think about that you buy in the store. They're morels, so they kind of look spongy, actually. But yeah, so had some fun doing that yesterday, and more to come. The season is just beginning.
When you grow up down here, you learn early what they look like and what the bad ones look like. So there's no real formal guide. It's more of, yeah, I'll drop a picture in.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Whitney. That would be, I don't know if he'd want me showing the picture I have because he's in it. So. But yeah, that's going to be our week here is how many mushrooms can we find? So maybe though, Julie, that's what I should do is have him actually research. That could be the learning part of it, right? Is what mushrooms should you completely avoid in Central Illinois during mushroom season?
Oh yeah. I know my uncle goes out. He does all that. He goes mushroom hunting. They live in Champaign.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We're on the outskirts in Savoy, on the outskirts of Champaign, and they do all that stuff. He even brought a stew once, and he said, "Stew, it's barbecue sauce, and you'll love it." Mm-hmm. And as we're all doing this, he's like, "That'd be rabbit." And everybody's
right.
But actually,
exactly.
Like I'm big on trying new things, so it doesn't bother me. But there are people that don't like eating Bugs Bunny, so.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we got a little off target there, but really what we were talking about is all good, is passion projects with students, and how can you ignite some of those passions during this time so that students are getting to engage in things that are a lot of fun and enjoyable. Is there, and again, feel free, we love to engage with those that are attending our sessions. So is there anyone on right now that has a specific story that they would like to share about ways that you or some of your staff might be engaging students in passion projects rather than kind of the typical school content right now?
Well, I've been working with our STEAM teacher. And I found a list on Twitter of like 10 things you can do at home. 10 like there were 15 STEAM-like activities. So we chunked it up and we sent the kids out. We're like, okay, we want you to do one of these activities with your family, and they get to choose. There were all different kinds, and we had links to ways to research it and look at it and get more information. And they had to do a stop motion video or a clips video explaining what they did, what they learned, and how they did it. So I like that choice part of it, and it kept with the science-y kind of activities. The other thing, part of her curriculum were vertical farms, And traditionally, the kids would create their own vertical farms using pop bottles and doing all of that. So now we've got kids at home, and some kids don't have all the materials they need. So we mailed the seeds home to them. And for kids who couldn't even do that, like there's kids who can't do that, we said, go out in front and find a plant that's just poking through the dirt and do a time lapse of that plant over time. So they're going to be keeping track of that plant. Or they could take a bush. Like all the bushes are now just starting to get their buds. But
Right.
imagine the stop motion of the growth of the plant. So they pick what they were doing and do the stop motion, and they were still seeing growth of a plant. But we gave them all kinds of little options that would fit their needs. So
that is so cool.
Yeah, one of the other things we did was we created like hyperdocs using that the learning cycle that hyperdocs use. And it's, let's see, off the top of my head, I think it's engage, explore, explain, apply, and share. So we had them, oh, there's Virgil. So they use that. So we gave them some videos and some things to check out. And then as we moved through the project, we actually had them going on sharing their presentations on Padlet. Some of the projects we have them going to Flipgrid, and they're sharing like, I chose to do this because. And then this week's it's going to be, how is the progress? Were you able to find your materials? And kids are looking at each other's videos and getting inspiration. It's fun. Once one kid does it, they all line up to do it. They all wait to see how the first one did it. So yeah. I love for that. And bonus, Flipgrid just allows you to do like a screencast. I haven't looked into it. I just saw it this morning. And kids could present from their iPads onto a Flipgrid and make a recording of that. So the potential for kids to present their recordings to their classmates, and then they can start having that conversation.
Right.
And it's
within Flipgrid, yeah.
So it doesn't matter that you're not all together at one beat. It's that communication. The same with Padlet. We opened up letting the kids make comments on each other's presentations. And we started by making comments ourselves so that we modeled for the kids what it looked like. And so now they're all going on and they're looking at each other's presentations and giving them feedback. You know, I like this about this. I like that. I wonder what it would have looked like if you did this. So I like that. I like that kind of format. So yeah, that's how we're kind of keeping the kids communicating with each other and different ideas. So
that's great. So with that being said, you mentioned that you were working with a STEAM teacher on this project. So is this project for her class specifically, or is this a project that you're engaging the content teachers in as well?
Right now, I'm doing it with her because the content teachers are like,
yeah,
they're overwhelmed with their own stuff. But I finally got her to listen. I was like, there's too much going on at home right now. We need to give them some choice. So when we finished the other projects we had done with the students, we found this choice thing. I sent it to her. I'm like, this is what we need to do. And so she took off with it. She's got the choices, and each week there's a different choice. So they can make, and we've got 5 weeks left of school really. So each week they pick one thing and they go out and do it. And they're as simple as, you know, making soap bubbles, or some of them are really simple and basic, and some of them are more complex. So we've differentiated with the students and their abilities to create things and do things.
Right. Is that a resource, Julie, that you have a link to that you can share?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I can probably find it, yes.
Yeah, if you do. And we can always push it out later too, you know, to everyone also. But that was something last week that we spent quite a bit of time talking about, was kind of choice boards and, you know, what different kinds of options are available for these types of projects that we can give to students as well.
Right.
So when you were mentioning, I'm just curious, when you were mentioning the vertical farm project and the growth of plants, you mentioned the stop motion. So can you kind of explain how the students are doing the stop motion part?
Yes, because they have their iPads at home with them, they have an app it comes on the iPads, it's called Stop Motion. And so, and they've used it for other projects. I like doing stop motion so they can see, excuse me, progression. So they can see, so like when we built the EV3 robots, I actually did it step by step, and I made this stop motion video that kind of started with a pile of Legos, and then they saw the progression of it being built. So I had them map out their progression of how they built it and the step by step they took, so that they could see from point A to point B how this pile of Legos can become this functional robot. And I like doing that with all kinds of different things, especially, I don't know if you know, I was a former science teacher, so I'm big into process and figuring out the process. So I love that stop motion, and they can see things like they saw the growth of their plants when we've done this in the past, and it was in school. They actually mapped out the growth of their plants, and the students were like, well, I didn't know that happened. You know what I mean? There were a lot of light bulbs that went off with the kids by just watching that progression.
Right.
Whereas if you throw the plants in and you just go water it, there's no intentionality when you just have to water the plant every day. But if you're taking the picture and doing that stop motion progression, then you're seeing something. And really, you could use anything. You could do a picture a day, just of the same position, take a picture a day, and you can throw that into any movie making app, and then you could still see that progression from dropping the dirt and the seeds in through having a plant sprouting and coming out.
Right.
So
right. I love that project. I'm just starting to write stuff down that I can have my son do. I
mean, I don't know if it's on your iPhone. I don't know if stop motion's on your iPhone, but again, just take the pictures and throw them into iMovie, and you'll see that progression.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Whitney just put in the chat window. She was an ag teacher, and that would have been a great project as an ag teacher. She also said to do a picture of a day with her dog gaining weight during the quarantine.
Dogs aren't the only ones.
I know. I thought I first typed myself or my husband, but I thought that was too mean. So my dog's also gaining weight, so we'll just keep with that.
Yeah, or even like we had to go to an ag store the other day, and they're selling like the chicks and stuff. Yeah, like that would have been.
I wish I would have done that. I never thought of this. I love these sessions because I think I always hear these great ideas, and then it makes me want to go back and do them, and can't do that.
Yeah, I saw the farm store up in town here has the chicks came in. So it's like, oh,
yeah,
my husband would kill me. I'm home with the animal.
Oh, well, we're at 10:40, so I always would just like to take a quick break and again see if there's any questions or thoughts that anyone has so far. Again, please feel free to put those in the chat window, or feel free to come off of mute at your convenience and ask questions or share your stories of success as well. All right, we'll keep rolling, Julie.
Okay.
So kind of at this point, I usually kind of like to talk about some of the things that you have learned. So you're mentioning, that your district has approximately 5 weeks of school left. So if you kind of look at where you've been as a district, or with the remote learning, and where you are right now, what do you think you've learned? And then what do you think you're going to take from what you've learned right now? And what's that going to look like in 5 weeks at the end of the school year?
I've got a running list that I've been keeping on a notebook. I gave up on writing and typing. I went and I had a 5-star notebook left over. Yeah, left over from one of my kids. And so I started taking my notes in that. And as I move forward and move through this, I've noticed some things that are confusing, confounding our parents and students. My pet peeve right now, every time they go to a class, there's a different procedure for turning things into Google Classroom. There's a different process for doing things. And in all fairness to our parents, no wonder they're like, I mean, and they think they can, well, I'll get back to that. So the process, teachers we need to have some process procedures that are the same, with the idea that this is gonna happen again. Maybe a snow day, maybe we're gonna be stuck in the same cycle next winter or next fall. I mean, everyone's got predictions out there. I wanna go back to school in August, so.
Yes.
But we don't know what the future holds. That's my point. We don't know when and if this is gonna happen again. So go away. No, it's not time yet. Sorry. They think I'm gonna feed them. They're like kids. You start talking on the phone, and you know how your kids start yammering around you? The animals do that. See, they're begging me.
No.
So, but that, like, helping our parents, making just procedures need to be more, we need to be more united in how we do things. The other thing I think I'm bringing with me is I need to have a stockpile of how-to videos and how-to cheat sheets. So as I'm moving forward, I'm creating them, and I might not send them out right away, but any procedure we're doing, I'm creating those, and I'm making my own little personal library so that when someone emails me, they can't do that, I can send it right back. Hey, this is how you do this. This is how you look at that. And our team, the Tech Coach team, we've been working on those together. So we're kind of coming up with a little library. Like there's things with, we use Clever for sign-ins for a lot of our apps. So like Seesaw and IXL and all of those types of things, we use Clever. And kids were trying to sign in through the IXL app, and they weren't being successful. I'm like, you need to log in through Clever. And they're like, oh, do I have to? I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, I made at least 15 phone calls on that alone. Like they weren't logging in through Clever. There's some other things in Google Classroom. Sometimes when you push things out, it'll say no internet. And all you have to do is hit the arrow going out, and it'll take you out to wherever you want to go. And it's not that you don't have internet, it's just some glitch in Google Classroom. I mean, we all know and they update all the time. So every time you got a procedure down for turning things in, they're like, nope.
Right.
So, I mean, and that's with all of the applications. Think about that first full week when I think everyone in the country was online learning.
Yeah.
Edpuzzle crashed. There was another one that had a big fail, and they were like, we're coming, Flipgrid. So they were like, okay, we're coming back, don't worry about it. And they did, they fixed it, they went back, but there's no way they expected that many people, especially because their apps went free, doing that. So now everyone's trying their apps, and smart thing to do, because if they really see the value of certain applications, school districts are more apt to want to get a subscription to them.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I love that you're bringing up the process for Google Classroom. My son is in a Google district as well, and I feel that I have, a little bit of background and information on educational technology and how the process works. And yeah, like my heart goes out to parents who don't have any of that background, because watching him navigate Google Classroom right now in 7 different classes is stressing me out. Oh my gosh, like how come in this one it shows automatically that you've submitted and it marks as done, but this one you have to physically mark it as done? And why can you sometimes look at your announcements to find out what you need, but then sometimes you have to go into the stream to see what it is that's due? I mean, completely agree, Julie. Like that, I think, is something that is vital to the success for districts moving forward, is to look at those processes and really make them as succinct and the same as much as possible.
Yeah, I had my niece called me and she was like, we are having so much trouble with getting my son's work in and doing all this. And I was like, well, let me see what his classroom. She gave me his logins and stuff. The teacher was pushing out assignments through the stream. And then they had to turn in the assignment via email. Like that defeated the whole purpose of Google Classroom. So it's like, I want to go to their school and say, hey, I'll professional develop you guys for nothing. We need to get you on board with that. And that's where I'm pushing at our school, getting Apple Teacher Certified and Google Certified. If you want to know how to truly use your environments, and I imagine, does Microsoft have a certification yet?
They do, yes. My MI expert.
Okay, so as a teacher, you should have all of that. And actually, I've been a nag, so most of my teachers are both of those things. And now they're coming up for their redo, so they have to redo their certification. So 3 years ago, we did a year-long process where teachers, I trained them, I did professional development, we went through the whole module system together, and then they all took the test. Both are going in. Yay! So, I mean, if you have a device in your hands, in your kids' hands, you should know as much about those devices, that environment or whatever it is. If you use Seesaw, you should get your Seesaw certification. If you're using IXL, IXL has a little professional development. Edpuzzle, all of these applications have professional development that you can do from home anytime. You should know how to use that stuff.
Right. And I would have to think that it would make the teacher's role so much easier as well, you know, to be able to understand that process more effectively and utilize it in a better way. So yeah, I think that's important I can speak from the parent side. I think that would definitely be helpful.
And I think that's what I'm going to like bring up when we start talking about things, that as a staff, I mean, in theory, we're supposed to be doing the same thing. But like people weren't using topics. So that was like across our school, teachers weren't all using topics the way it should be. So they just had, a student would log in and they'd have this long list of assignments. There was no organization. There was no rhyme or reason. Now we're getting on May here, and they had every assignment since the beginning of the year. I'd be confused. It made me like, I just got nervous. So I started one teacher at a time. I went into one of their classrooms and said, look at what this looks like as a student. And even as a teacher, like that would make me like feel all happy, and just to see it all organized. And I had one teacher, she did something really cool. So I talked her into creating a new classroom every quarter. And that way she archives the classroom for last quarter, and she tells the kids when she's going to archive, they take it away, and she archives it so they don't have access to that anymore. And then what she does, we have a policy that you get 15 days after the summative to get in any work. So at the end of that day, she marks on the topic, close, no longer taking assignments. So she's not worried about going back and checking all those things. And families and students all know when they look at that topic that they're no longer able to turn things in. So I think that takes a lot of pressure off. And the other thing is due dates in Google Classroom. Please, please, please put due dates on things. Because in the to-do list, it just shows up. It's like due forever.
Yes, agree with that one as well. And utilize Classroom or calendar. One of my son's teachers put in, Google Classroom, we're going to do a Google Meet on this day. And my bad, I should have had my son put it in the calendar, but I thought, oh, surely he'll get a calendar invite with it. So it was because I've been trying to get him to use calendar forever. But so the other day, the band instructor did do it that way, did send the Google Meet Hangout via the calendar. And he's like, Mom, I got a calendar invite. It's in my calendar now. And I've turned on notifications and settings on calendar. And I'm like, score! We're making progress.
So I think Google just pushed out through Classroom, so there's a link within the classroom where you can send out a Google Meet within the classroom. I haven't really looked at it that closely. I'm still trying to keep my head above water.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
that, I think, going forward, I don't know. I like that Zoom where I can like reflect my screen, airplay my screen on that. So I'll have to look at it and see what features are involved in that. So, I mean, it's all,
right.
I've used Google Meet before, but I never really noticed about screen mirroring and all that. I never looked closely at it.
Mhm.
So now I'm looking at things with an eye to, we might not be in school someday. We might not be, so this is giving us kind of like that experience to move forward. And really, I don't think we'll ever have snow days again.
Right.
I think
Right.
snow days are a thing of the past.
Yep.
I think,
Agreed.
and I mean, as a state, I guess we were supposed to have e-learning plans in, what was it, last fall sometime?
Yes.
Yeah. Not everybody complied with that.
Yeah.
But they're all on board now.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, again, I think it is, you know, a moving target frequently, but I love, Julie, that you're taking the time to, one, reflect, and two, realize that in the moment is the time to do some of those, like, for instance, how-to videos. You know, that you're taking that, and you're seeing this is a constant question we're getting asked. What a great resource to have to make a how-to video. And we actually had one of our attendees post it in the chat window that they love that idea and how awesome it would be to be able to direct, you know, post that and direct parents to it as well. So fabulous, fabulous idea.
And you had a couple weeks ago during the Apple session, before Apple, the one, the gal, she used clips to make directions, like how-to things. I have taken that and run with it.
Awesome.
It is so fun using screenshots and adding. I mean, it takes me maybe 20 minutes to put together a quick video in clips. I can have arrows shining and things lighting up, and I just record. So finding just a quiet place to record is my biggest issue with it. But other than that, it is easy, simple way to do directions for stuff like that. So
that's great. Well, and Julie, thank you for reminding me that one of the things that Julie just referenced is our sessions that we have each week. One with Apple, which is this afternoon at 1:30, and then we do a Google one on Wednesdays at 10, and a Microsoft one on Thursdays at 10. So those are live, similar to this as well. But all of our recordings are also available on our home learning site and in our YouTube channel. So the session that Julie just mentioned as well, you can actually find on our website, IDEAcoaches.org. It's in two places, but our home learning page and our Wednesday webinar page is where you can find those. But also, again, we do have a YouTube channel, and you can go to our YouTube channel and find those recordings and watch them. We've posted them, they're public, they're available. You don't get the PDHs for those, watching those recordings, but they are available for you to check out and watch as well. So I'm glad you participated, Julie, and got some ideas from one of those sessions as well.
And I've been going back and watching your videos when I have a free moment, and just so because I can't, you just physically can't attend everything. So you have to like kind of pick and choose your best.
Yeah, no, I thank you for saying that. It is something we've been really excited to see, is how many people are watching them later. So I'm glad that resource is available and people are utilizing it. So Whitney did put the specific page on our website, ideaillinois.org/home-learning. So that is in the chat window that you can take a look at as well. And all of our sessions that we have done since March are posted there as well. So we're coming down to the end, Julie, and I can't believe that we've been here for an hour already. Oh my goodness! Just
wow.
I have almost 2 pages of notes just from what you have shared. So thank you.
Would you email me and remind me, because I did not bring a pad of paper. I'm sitting on an ottoman in front of the window so that I could I have the window open, so I've got the fresh air coming in on me.
Yes.
So I did not bring a pad of paper with me. So if you could send me those things, I will go on and find that list of things we did with the team activities.
All right, great. Thank you. Yeah, I will send that to you, and we will send a recap to everyone. So one quick last few minutes here. If anybody has a question, feel free again to put it in the chat window. Also feel free to come off mute if you would like. And Whitney is posting the links in the chat window. If you would like the professional development hours, feel free to copy and paste those links as well. And you will get, again, a recording, or a follow-up email with the recording and information, and I'll get that to Julie, and we'll follow up with that as well. So at this point, if there aren't any questions, again, Julie, thank you so very much. It's always a pleasure talking with you and hearing. I mean, your passion, it just explodes, and it definitely catches on. So thank you for starting off my Tuesday in a very exciting and refreshing way.
I love being in the, learn so much just from listening to other people. So
exactly.
I hope
You did. So thank you so much, Julie, and enjoy the weather today. I hope everybody on gets a chance to spend a little bit of time outside. We need that as well. So thanks again, Julie. Thanks to everybody that was on today, and we hope to see you at another session soon.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.